So the perceptions are really what they're pushing for
That's
now.
right.
And what the one world order needed from the Catholic Church in this, above all others, was a sense of morality, because they did not have any moral, integrity about them. No one gave them moral authority. You could see it that way. But as this way, they inherited and abused the Catholic Church's own moral authority, which they basically abdicated now by their own behavior and actions.
That's right.
But that's not known by everybody yet. And they will, because the truth is coming out, and it's going to unfold. Even greater and greater and greater evidences will be coming forward. They can't stop what they didn't create.
That's right.
And this is where I think God's truth is going to come through. And I think you're going to see a lot of people upset with how this all went down and how they were not only lied to, but they were used in this moment to basically not just bring down Western civilization and Western culture and the Judeo-Christian ethic, but to also bring down the safety and governance of individual rights in these countries. They don't care about you as an individual. It's more about the collective.
Yeah.
And this is the new word of the day, is the collective and not the individual.
Right.
And the collective is just another word for Marxism.
Communism.
Right. So,
in other words, your individual, it's always been individuals that have changed the course of events in a way, or a group of individuals that cherish individual differences. But the collective, you can do the bankrupt. Take a look at Russia under communism. You take a look at any of the, even China, they got slave labor. Of course you're going to make money for the elite, not for the Chinese people.
Sure.
They're very healthy. Healthy bullshit. Who's healthy are the ones, Ching, or whatever the guy thinks he's,
Xi Jinping says he's going to live forever.
Well, they're not going to live forever, but they act like they are.
Well, he was talking with Putin about surgeries to extend your life and all like that.
Was he?
Yeah, well, they can talk all they want, but the fact is no one's going to live forever. I don't think anyone would want to live forever. I think you get up to a certain age, you realize, I don't think it's worth keeping going.
Well,
so.
Sure, that's it'd be foolish. What do you want to stick around here? Listen to the noise,
Well, my mother turned 100 the other day, and she just prays, "Is today the day? Is today the day? Can I die? Can I die?" And I said, "You'll die when it's time. When that heart goes,
that's
you
right.
go."
That's right. Yeah.
I said, "So don't you worry. Let's just try to make it happy and only eat good chocolate. Don't eat bad chocolate. Just
it's good chocolate out there.
Life's too short to eat bad chocolate." So, more about this book and what we're going on with. So we had this situation going on with not only the Vatican but the world governments. We're going along with it, and we've had this inbreeding that's gone on now with even more moving around of the chess pieces. Now that we have Leo the 14th in there, so he's moving more people around, and he's making more things I think are a little bit quizzical. He gets rid of the Latin Mass.
He thinks he's slick. He's chump change.
Well, you get rid of the Latin Mass. He's moving Mary out, and down. And all this is to go after the pillars of the church. The Latin Mass, probably the strongest sacrament that the Catholic Church has.
Yeah, because it encapsulates holiness. The sacrifice of the Mass is elevated to a level of awe and holiness. It's built into it, and it's universal in terms of you go anywhere in the world. If they were saying Latin Mass, you could understand. If it was in Polish, they would give you the Polish narrative, but it was even Cardinal Burke said that there's an element of holiness and goodness that's built into that carries itself, as opposed to what's lacking in a new order of the Mass. I'm not saying that our Lord doesn't, appear in the Holy Eucharist, regardless of the fracture in that Mass. But that Mass changes so much. Do we stand up? Do we sit down? Do we shake hands? Do we say this, or do we say that, or we're going to change this? And it's within that continual changing of the ambiguous of expectation that people don't see it as being holy. They see it as being, Half of them don't even realize that our Lord's in the Holy Eucharist.
Well, there's so much spiritual hokey pokey that goes on with so many people who are considered to be good practicing Catholics. A lot of them don't understand exactly how they got there. And, it's just the practices are all good, but if they have a distorted view of what the meaning is behind it, then it's just become, this unrealized truth. It becomes more of like I say, a spiritual hokey pokey. Put your left hand in, put your left hand out, and then this happens. And that's not how it works.
I like to sing Kumbaya.
Do you want to sing Kumbaya?
I like to do
Maybe
that.
At the end, we'll let you sing us out.
So now here we have a setup where the United States, not the people, but Obama, is involved in this nefarious coup d'etat. China wants a change. So what do? China demands that they want to be in charge. Now remember, Cardinal Zen is the cardinal of China, and there's a church, a Catholic church, underground church, because the Chinese are persecuting them. These clowns under Pope
Francis and Leo, okay,
Franny,
they're the recents.
They decide that they're going to allow China to pick the bishops, and they give them all of the names of the people of the underground church.
Right.
Now, Zen's saying, I don't even know this stuff is going on. So here's what he says, and this comes out of McCormick's book. So McCormick's following. He's
the stenographer, so he's getting the actual
he
truth
knows
and
who's
details.
Visiting who and what's going on.
Right, because it's his job to note all this.
Right.
And it wasn't until later on. And he's a good Roman Catholic, and he's really being blown away by his duty to talk about this and the pain that it causes him. And we're not happy about it either.
No,
but you need to know the truth.
And the fact that our Lord has him issue this testimony, to have him be a person that is able to testify to what's going on through the language of a stenographer is unbelievable. I mean, for this book to come out and to say, yes, indeed, these things occurred. It's consistent with Sister Benedicta of the Last Will and Testament, consistent with Mark Taylor's stuff, and it's just crazy. But this is Zen says. He said Zen now. Here's more on Cardinal Zen from Religion Unplugged. He says that Zen, now a humanitarian activist and a religious freedom fighter, is troubled by the Vatican's recent announcement saying it could open the underground Catholic Church in China to further abuses. They kept the agreement secret even from me, a Chinese cardinal, so I don't know its content, Zen said. Also, the people of China don't know the content. So the government could use it to demand everything from our faithful, saying that the Pope has already agreed, for example, forcing the people from the underground to join the Patriotic Association, to join the Independent Church, which is objectively a schismatic church. Cardinal Zen blasted the 7 Chinese bishops appointed by the CCP, Communist Chinese appointed bishops. Is this crazy, folks? All right. He said, who's going to hell? That one lady said, well, Larry, you better watch out. You go, well, we would never do that. Would we?
Well, give us enough time and enough reason. Who knows? It depends. What's the motivation?
Yeah. So Zen's complaining, all right? He says the 7 bishops have not shown any goodwill. They are still working for their own interests, protecting what sounds like the Catholic Church, don't it? The underground community,
too many of them,
are more severely persecuted. In both communities, minors under the age of 18 are not allowed to enter the church or take part in religious activities, all right? The underground community are more severely persecuted than the communist Catholic Church, right? In both communities, both of them, both churches, the fake one and the real one, both communities, if you're under 18 years of age, you're not allowed to enter a church or take part in religious activities. So much, right? But the frustrated Hong Kong cardinal, he's from Hong Kong, right? He has no antipathy towards the Pope, who repeatedly expresses his devotion and subservience to, because he knows if he tells this guy to go to hell, all right, the communists are going to be on top of him.
He's going to lose his gig, and he doesn't want that either.
So what's this guy going to do?
Because there's other people counting on him then, too, at this point. When you get to be a cardinal, you get an entourage, and they're all needing to feed off of you as well.
I recognize the Pope as our supreme leader, Zen wrote. He goes, we Salesian it's from the Don Bosco people. He says, we have 3 traditional devotions, one to the Blessed Sacrament, a devotion to Our Lady, and a devotion to the Pope. Cardinal Zen believes that his efforts to make concerns known to the pontiff are going unanswered. No, he's saying, well, the reason why the pontiff is not responding to me is interference from Vatican insiders. So now he's starting to rationalize why he's taking it up the old wazoo. Mm-hmm. He's saying, well, this Pope apparently is not getting the right information. Zen, yes, he is. He is getting the right information. In fact, he's the one that's like demolishing the church.
He was one of the original architects of the demolition back in 2012.
They're going to allow you to complain, and they're going to allow you to be, subservient to this Pope. All right? But really what you need to do is do what you really feel in your heart. Follow your Lord and ask your Lord to be crucified with him on the cross, okay, for the salvation of souls and the glory of the Father, and that this be overturned in China. That's who your allegiance is to, Christ, not these goofy popes that have come up, all right? It's so I don't know what I would do with that guy, but I wouldn't want to lose my soul, going along with these. Listen, crucify me because I'm out of here. I think
they carry sort of a lot of what the Protestant feeling about being sanctified. I think they think that they're above being judged in that way.
You do.
Because we're there. We're the ones. We're the ones that are supposed to be doing this.
So why else would he make
why would you question? Why would God even question us if we're the ones?
Right. No, you're right. Yeah.
The
Pope doesn't know about this stuff.
Well, he probably does,
no,
but
I'm
doesn't.
saying, but Zen's going.
Yeah.
He's kind of justifying. Well, we're the ones, so obviously he can't be anti.
Right, and so they've been previously baked in to the thinking about this.
Wow.
This is how far this culture and this subculture goes, and the expectations and their own, perspectives about things.
Unbelievable.
And it's how easily they can justify certain things, even though it goes back against what even their mother taught them.
Correct.
When they were children.
Good point.
And for him to say that they follow what was the things he says about the Mass and the Mary and the things that they...
Oh, he says, we as... he's part of the Don Bosco. He's saying that we have a devotion to the Holy Eucharist, to the Blessed Mother, and to the Pope.
Okay. So with the Holy Eucharist and the Latin Mass, okay, the strongest, they suppressed that, okay, with the lies about what the international polling was. They polled an Obama on that. When they polled the bishops and asked them about their regard for the Latin Mass and how important they thought it was, 65% of the worldwide bishops says, yes, it's important, it's a great tool. But they turned it all around because the Vatican didn't want to see that. They wanted to see that the Latin Mass was not held in high esteem. And there was a problem.
Well, there seems to be a light.
So they turned the numbers around.
Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, there seems to be some light in the church that a good number of bishops are for the Latin Mass. So there's got to be some goodness going on.
They lied about what the numbers were. 65% of the worldwide bishops wanted the Latin Mass to remain.
Oh, worldwide bishops, okay.
Right.
Okay.
And even in the United States, they saw the value in the Latin Mass. But the Vatican didn't like that narrative. It didn't go with what they wanted to do to diminish the Latin Mass. So they turned the numbers around. They said only 35% supported it. Who's going to question them?
Right.
This is what they're doing. And this
is where you say, what do you call it, blew the lid on that?
Well,
Vigano.
Well, I think Archbishop Vigano was the one that
outed them.
Right, because he had been they
want to kill him.
He had been the papal nuncio to the United States at that time, so he would have known about this.
Wow.
And so he was privy, and he had been the golden boy, but he was a whistleblower, and then he just kept going. He didn't stop when they told him, so that's enough. You don't need to keep No, where's that whistle? We need to get your whistle. You don't need to keep blowing that whistle. No. But I think that's enough, because what the Vatican did was what Obama did to Trump in 2016 about the Russia collusion stuff. When the State Department and the DOJ and FBI came back,
right?
They couldn't find anything on Trump to tie him to Russia. Obama says, get me a different report that says he does. And that's what they used as the basis then for the whole Russiagate stuff. It was all lies. And even though it's been shown to have been lies and proven to be lies, people with their own perceptions out there in the world still believe what the lies led up to, the Saul Alinsky effect. They told it enough that enough people believe that it happened, and it never happened. So, but what the Vatican has been doing is just basically parroting what the governments around the world do to suppress things, and this is their playbook. And so they just followed the playbook of the United States and Obama. Just lie about it, turn it around. They'll believe whatever you tell them.
Right.
And this is how the Vatican also keeps people at bay. Who's going to question us?
Right. Yeah. That's what the same thing that Cardinal Spellman said as he was talking about his homosexuality. He says, who's going to believe you? Who would believe that a cardinal is involved in this stuff? Arrogant.
Right.
Listen.
That's plain old hubris. That's beyond arrogance.
Is it?
Yeah.
It says the strange thing is that he doesn't answer my letters. This is Cardinal Zen. And he goes, I even doubt if he even receives them. He goes, and his actions seem all in agreement with the Cardinal Parolin, he said. However, Zen does not discount the effect that the Pope's upbringing, now he's saying the Pope's upbringing in South America can have on his outlook, saying that the communists he was familiar with growing up are different from the communists currently running China. So now he's saying, Bergoglio was brought up under communists that were concerned about the general, Perón, those that were in charge that were killing people, and that the communists were more kind-hearted.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that he goes, so he wasn't brought up with the brutality of the Chinese communists and the killing fields, or the Russian. I try to explain, remembering that Pope Francis comes from South America, where the communists are the good guys. Zen, that ain't the. It's
perception.
He was
like people didn't die in Argentina. Come on.
Yeah. In fact, Pope Francis, whoever was in power, he sucked up to, right? So when Perón was in power, he sucked up to Perón, and because that's where the money was. And the other thing in Argentina, a lot of Nazi money was in Argentina. A lot of gold was shipped over to Argentina, and they all benefited from it and said nothing, including Franny. He says, I try to explain and remember that Pope Francis comes from. So he's rationalizing. It doesn't know that these are good guys defending the poor from oppression of military regimes. Listen, whether it's the far right or far left, they don't give a rat's ass about the population. So, well, it's communism cares or, capitalism cares. Neither of them care. The only one who cares is somebody's got some love in their heart, for him. He doesn't have a direct experience of communists in power as oppressors of people. He continued saying, but if it seems impossible that he should ignore all the facts, then ever harsher persecution on all religions and so on and so forth. In other words, he's rationalizing the destruction of the Catholic Church in China.
Right. They're trying to explain themselves away and to give an explanation for their poor behavior and lack of action in these things.
So they allow him to do that. You can piss and moan now, Zen. After that, keep your mouth shut.
Right. And this is what they did with other people here. I mean, I'm waiting for Bishop Paprocki in Springfield, Illinois to be shut down because he called out both McElroy and Pope Francis for heresy.
Did he?
For their actions there, yeah. But he hasn't been shut down yet. But I don't think
they may not want to.
I don't think Pope Leo is done yet. But Leo is a soupage guy, and let me see, Paprocki was a Cardinal George guy. So they don't all like each other.
George was a conservative.
Right, they don't like each other. Well, he was more conservative than anything they've had in the last 30 years.
Okay.
But
they didn't touch him though, Cardinal George, did they?
They went after him pretty hard, but but they had a lot of room that had already been made by Bernardine with his stuff. And Bernardine was the guy that brought us communion in the hand.
Right.
You know, so he's got he's. I don't think he's waiting in purgatory. I think he's got a permanent accommodation down below.
Is that right?
If anyone deserved it, probably was him.
Well, our Lord says that you declare yourself, it's judgment, all right? So if they declared themselves for darkness and evil, I don't care how you rationalize it. Hey, the big guy knows. You're not going to bullshit him. You know, you go before him, and you go before him in honesty and truth, and you know. But our Lord said, it's too late. You either decide now in this life, in this pilgrimage, or you're dead. It's too late. And I believe he has other concerns in that, but basically that's the rule of thumb. So what have we got, folks? We've got a church in collapse. We got people testifying to it through a number of different avenues. And here again, in this book, testify, right, to the destruction of the Roman Catholic Church and the Protestant churches in many denominations. So all, he says, quote, all, Francis says that all religions lead to God. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid not.
Well, here was supposed to be your top brand ambassadors out there, you know, driving down your brand. You know, if he was a salesperson, he'd have been dismissed immediately by the Home Office. But who's going to say, so, oh, that wasn't what he meant? Well, it kind of was what he meant.
Right.
These things were done on purpose. And then bringing down the Latin Mass and lying about that was done on purpose because they knew that the Latin Mass was too strong and it was attractive to young men especially who are looking for ultimate truth in this world of denials that's going on. This is what young men are looking for because they're following their natural instincts with this. Men are the protectors. And so not everyone has bought into this, you know, baked in ideology about this feminism. And so we have to relieve them of that and give them a place to flourish. And that's in the strength and the conviction of truth and discipline.
You think Leo's kind of a girly guy?
You think?
He's getting you.
You seen him walk?
No, really? You're kidding me. Jeez, okay. I'm convinced.
Enough seen, enough said. You know, any guy that takes a ball glove, you know, over the age of 15 to a baseball game to catch a foul ball. That's a trouble spot.
The players used to go, look at that goofball.
Oh, we used to laugh at the old
guys.
Right,
if you're 8 years old and you want to take me out to the ball game.
I mean, if the guy had a mental defect or something like that, you know, Down syndrome guy,
yeah,
you know,
okay,
let him carry their glove. You know, we'd take him up a jersey, you know, and give him one of our old jerseys or something like, you know, here's a guy, you know, he just wants to be out on the field, but he'll never get there. And we would love that. But when you see a guy up there who's like, you know, fully capable and he's got his ball glove and sitting there just hungry for a foul ball, you know, just go to the gift shop. They sell them for $6. Same ball.
Yeah.
You know,
go home with it.
Right.
Don't tell your wife you brought the glove.
Types of stuff. Well, you had a couple other notes here. What we were talking about the guy that whacked Benedict the 16th.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
We got a little bit of time. We got about 5 minutes here.
Okay, there's in Pope Benedict's last will and testament. The guy that was with him for 20 years was a guy by the name of Gregor Gershwin, and he was born, I believe, in 1956 of July. He became the personal secretary for 20 years of even before Pope Benedict became the Pope. He was part of the entourage and the Secretary of State.
He was like his handler.
Yeah.
You know.
That's right. And he has a very impressive background. You know, German prelate of the Catholic Church. He was named apostolic nuncio to Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, which is now, he's the cardinal of those three particular countries. So that's what he served as the prefect for the papal household from 2012 to 2023, and he was personal secretary of Pope Benedict XVI. He was a professor of canon law at the Pontifical University of Holy Cross. He's been Archbishop since 2012. He is also an honorary canon of Freiburg Cathedral. Now,
he's also an assassin.
He's also an assassin. So here's a little excerpt of Pope Benedict as they're closing in on the final shot to kill him. He says, I also wrote letters to the Institute, this is Benedict saying, of consecrated life to journalists around the world and to my good friend, a theologian, Giulio Calambi. Finally, I addressed an open letter to the people. He said, he has all this stuff prepared. And I urge Gregor, this guy, his secretary, I urged him, where am I at here? That these letters be published 3 days after my death. And he gave me his word that he would do it. Now, he also informed his secretary, Gregor, that he has also proclaimed the fifth dogma of co-redemptrix, mediatrix, and advocate of our Blessed Mother. He's proclaimed that. Well, we believe that historically in the church anyways, but when they proclaim it publicly, they're telling everybody throughout the world that this is her position in the Roman Catholic Church. It says, Benedict said, it was my task of imitating Christ, who had with him to the end the treacherous and perfidious Judas Iscariot. In other words, he's saying, I had this guy. This is Judas Iscariot to me. He goes, and he liked the guy. Even though I knew I would soon see him commit the worst betrayal in the greatest murder, knowing that my secretary would betray me, I wisely decided to give a copy of these letters to this Giulio Colombini, all right? On the last visit, he came and what he told him, look, this is what's going on. Take these documents, make sure they, And so he's privy to that this guy's got these documents. And motivated by this act of trust, I showed my secretary, he secretly and treacherously communicated everything to Francis. The letters, the encyclical, Mary, co-redemptrix, he spilled the beans, right? And written in which I had dogmatically proclaimed the co-salvation of the Blessed Mother. Without him noticing, and thanks to the volume of his phone, I could hear Francis give an order to burn everything, and he added, we must not leave anything that could be compromising, to which he replied, I will. I'll do what you want done. He didn't know I had heard everything. However, this Giulio Colombini died the day after Pope Benedict died, so they killed this guy. And so this is where they said, well, we shut down, which is probably why heaven said, you didn't shut nothing down. Mm-hmm. We're going to provide you with the information about what really happened there.